Hello and welcome. Today we're working on Excel Basics, Exercise 6B, the second half of Exercise 6. We're working on the if function and the ifs with an S function. Hello, my name is Jeff from Finally Learn, where I help you finally learn financial literacy, including Excel. Let's get started with some notes on the if and the ifs function. So if you have a logical test and then a true and then a false. So what do you do if that logical test is true? What do you do if that logical test is false? Now, if you need to ask more than one question, you need a nested if function. So my example from the previous video, you might want to watch that previous video, but the example from the previous video is if you have students in class and they're freshmen, sophomore, juniors, and seniors, then you ask them, are you a freshman? And they would say yes or no. If they say no, then you ask them a second question, are you a sophomore? And if they say no again, then they have to be a junior or senior. You ask them one more question, are you a junior? If they say yes, they're a junior. If they say no, they're a senior. So that's how you do nested if. We're going to do nested if functions. Now, on ifs, we just ask questions and then respond to a true answer. So we ask several questions. They have to be in order. And there's no false condition, only the logical test and then true, and then the second logical test and true, and so on. Now, the nested if functions are very common, very popular in Excel. The ifs function is brand new. It's from Excel 2019, and it's in Excel 365 also. So you're likely to run into the if function and nested if. But in the future, we think the if statement will be much more popular. So let's get started with our problem. So here's our problem. We're going to have, the first one is nested if statements. So our given information is here, and we're going to create all this to the right. And I'm going to get rid of this and show you how to do it step by step. And I've gone ahead and used formula text and then copied and paste special, so we can kind of see what the formula is going to be on this top row, so we can kind of benchmark it so it'll be a little bit easier. You can kind of see where we're going with this. So we have a company that is bidding out 6 different jobs. We have hours budgeted, we have security level, and security level is 1, 2, or 3. And then security breach is either true or false. And then job warranty is either basic, standard, or enhanced. So we're going to create a cost pricing budget. So if we have a client, we'll say, hey, we're going to charge you a total of $19,921. Now let's look at some inputs. If there is a fraud audit that is level 3 only, if they're level 3, then it has a required fraud audit, which is $25 per hour. And then the cost for level 1, 2, and 3 is $20, $30, and $40 each. If it's level 3, then you have additional security cost of $15. If there is a breach, then there's going to be a $10 fraud monitoring. And if we have warranty cost enhanced, that's going to be an extra $7 per hour. If it's basic, we're going to give a discount of $5 per hour. And if it's standard, then there's no change. And we'll show how this works with the if statement. Now, the discount schedule is if the total is up to $5,000, they get a 0% discount. But if it's less than 10, then it's a 3% discount. If it's less than 15, it's a 6% discount. If it's 15,000 or greater, we're going to allow a 10% discount. So let's get started with our nested if. And then we'll do an if statement, all completely with if statements. So you can see how to do it both with a nested if and then with the if statement. So let's get rid of all this right here. And let's start with the required fraud audit. Now, what we're going to do is if it's level 3, then we're going to have a required fraud audit. Okay, so it's going to be $25. So the way I would build this is this is going to be a single if statement. So it's going to be, we're going to point to the security level. If it equals 3, then what do we do? Well, if it equals 3, we're going to grab the 25, and we'll make 25 an absolute address. If it's not, then we're going to just put 0. So let's test that it works here. So 1, 2, 3, let's go all the way down. So the only time it pulls a required fraud audit is if it's security level 3. So that's working correctly. So what we want to do is go back to our original if statement and then multiply that times the 50 hours. So we're going to take $25 times the hours. So that's still going to be 0, and then we'll copy it down. So we have, if we have job 3, we have security level 3, so it's going to bring the $25 times the 75 hours budgeted. So that's going to be $18.75. And then the same thing for job 5. It is a required fraud audit because it's level 3. That $25 times the 80. Now, the next column, we're just going to do security costs for levels 1, 2, and 3. So we're going to have to do a nested if. So this is going to be our formula. We're going to do if it's 1, then we do something. If it's 2, we're going to pull the $20 and then the $30 and the $40. If it's 2, then pull the $30. If it's not, then we pull the $40. All that times the hours. So let's get started on the if statement. The first if statement would be if that is equal to 1, then we're going to grab the $20 and make that absolute. It needs to be an absolute address. Now, for the false condition, we're going to do another if statement. So this is the nested if. So if, start our parentheses, and now we have a brand new logical test. This is the second if. So we'll say if that security level equals 2, then we're going to grab the the $30. So level 2 is $30. Make that absolute address. And if it's not level 1 or level 2, there's only 3 possibilities, then it has to be level 3, which is the $40. And make it also absolute. So let's just test that it works. I think I missed a parentheses. I need to close the parentheses on the second if statement. So let's just test that it works. So at 1, it should pull a 20, at 2, a 30, 3, a 40, 30, 40, 30. So this is working. It's pulling the correct cost. So here, level 1, level 2, and level 3 should pull a 20, a 30, or a 40. Now I just put, this is not standard. I'm just putting, this is B3, B4, B5. This is this cell. 40 is cell B5. Just so you can see, that's just a little helper column so you can see, hey, that's B5. That's what we are intended to grab is B5. So we have, it's pulling the 20, 30, and 40. We need to multiply that times the hours budgeted, and then copy it down. So that's the 1,000, 1,800, 3,000, so on. Now, the next column, we have either additional security cost, or there's fraud monitoring, or it could be nothing. So let's look at our inputs. If you're level 3, then you're subject to additional security cost of $15. Or there is fraud monitoring. If there is a security breach, then you have to pay an extra $10 per hour. If it's level 3, you have additional security costs of $15. So let's show how that one would work. So we'll have an if, we'll have a nested if also. So we're going to say if this equals level 3, then we're going to grab the $15. So the input tab, the $15, we're going to grab that $15. If it is, and so then we'll go back, if it's not level 3, then we're going to ask a second question, and the second question is, does it have a security breach? So let's go up here and let's make it an if statement, comma, start with an if statement, open parentheses, I'm going to close the parentheses right there so I don't forget at the end. Our logical test is we're going to point to the true. Now, because it already says true or false, our logical test is complete. Look up here in the formula builder, D3. It's already true because it's the word true, so it passed the logical test true. What happens if it's true? Well, we're going to take the $10 fraud monitoring. There is a security breach, so therefore you have to pay fraud monitoring of $10. We're going to make that an absolute address. And if it's not level 3, and if it's not a security breach, then we're just going to put 0. So we should do done here. And so let's check that it works before we multiply it times the hours. So there's a security breach, so it pulls 10. 2 or false doesn't pull anything. 3 or false, it pulls the 15 because it's 3, level 3. Security level 3. 2 and false, nothing. 3 and true, does it pull the 15 or the 10? Well, it pulls the 15, and then it doesn't even ask the second question the way we built a nested if that we have. All right, the last one would be the 10 because it is a security breach, not security level 3. So we need to edit at the very top times the hours budgeted, and then we'll copy that down. All right, so you can see we're building this. This is our formula we just calculated, and you can see how it works in column H here. The additional security cost is $15 each, or the fraud monitoring is $10 each. Now the last one is we're going to do a job warranty adjustment. Now job warranty, we have two things going on. We have, if it's enhanced, they pay an extra $7. If it is a basic warranty, then they actually get a discount of $5 per hour. And if it's standard, then there's no change. So let's go back to the job warranty. We're going to do an if. So we're going to point to the job warranty, the very first one here, enhanced. So it says if E3 equals, now it's a label, so I'm going to have to hit double quote enhanced and type in enhanced. If it says enhanced, then what do? We're going to point to the 7 and make it an absolute address here. And if it's not, then we're going to edit at the very top, comma, and do another if, start my parentheses and close my parentheses. And then I can use the logical test in my formula builder. If this equals to the label, so double quote basic, double quote, then I'm going to grab that negative $5, which is a discount, right? And make it an absolute address. If not, if it's neither one of those, then it would say standard. Then we'll just do done. All right, so let's copy it down and see if it's working. Enhanced should show 7. Standard would be 0. Basic would be -5. Standard is 0. Enhanced is $7. We multiply those times the 50 hours. So 350, and then we'll copy that down. So here's our job warranty adjustment. Now we need to add up the total of each column and the total of each row. Now remember, you can just total it up and then copy across, or you can highlight all these, give yourself an extra column and give yourself an extra row. And we go to the auto sum here. Auto sum, it's 22,135, and it's all formulas. The other way to do it, there's an auto sum. If you're on Mac, like I am, it's Command-Shift-T for total. If you're on Windows, it is Alt and then the equal sign for total. So auto sum is super helpful. Now we're almost finished with this side of the table. We just need to figure out the discount. Well, this is 22,000. We're going to look this up here on our table. 5,000, 10,000, 15,000. Less than 5, a 0% discount. Less than 10, a 3%. Less than 15, 6%. Or if it's not any of those, then you know it's above 15 or above, then you know it's a 10% discount. So let's do, it's going to be a long nested if. It looks Kind of intimidating, but we can do it. So if the 22,000 is greater than, less than, if it's less than the 5,000, then what do? We grab the 0%. Now, what if it is false? What if it's not less than the 5,000? We're going to start with another if statement, open parentheses and close parentheses. Go back a space. Well, our logical test then is going to be if the 22,000 is now less than 10,000, we'll point to that 10,000. Then what do? We grab the 3%. So if it's in between 5 and 10, it's going to be a 3% discount. So what we have on this last one, I need to put a comma. I need to put another if statement where that false is going to be. So my third logical test, if the 22,000 is less than the 15,000, then we're going to grab and put the 6%. If it's not less than 5, less than 10, less than 15, you know it's 15,000 or higher, so we're going to grab the 10%. So here we go, done. And so here it should be grabbing the 10%. You know this is more than 15,000, so you know this is 10%. Now, we want to take 10% times 22 and subtract it out. The best way to do this is to make that 10%. It's 10 cents right now, but you can think of it as a percentage. Let's start with a parentheses 1 minus that entire nested if and make it a 90%. So that's 90 cents or 90%. And then we'll multiply that entire number, the 90%, times the 22,000. That will take the 10% discount for us. So the 10% discount would be, after the 10% discount would be 2,200 something. After you subtract that out, you get 19,921. So this is the formula. You got a nested if it's less than 5, less than 10, less than 15, then we have it calculated. Now, we could test this. We could change the numbers. What if the numbers were exactly 4,000? Then you get exactly no discount, right? Because it's 0% discount. So you can test that along the way. So be careful, and you can do this with a nested if. Okay, that's the traditional solution. But now we have if statements that we could do. If statements, we can just ask positive questions along the way. All right, so let's get rid of all this. So we now know how to do the problem. Let's just do it with if statements. So ifs. So the first one, what's our logical test? Our logical test is if the security level equals 3, then what do? We're going to grab the $25. And we need to make it absolute. So let's just put done here. Well, if we did that, and that's the only thing we ask, well, it pulls on number 3, job 3, it pulls the $25, and number 5, it pulls the $25. But we have these error messages. Now, these error messages not available. These are going to make our total an error message. All right, so we have to have some way to handle the error message. So we've got 1, 2, or 3. If it's 3, we do something. And so the other way to think about this one would be, what if we point to the 1 and say, well, what if it's not equal to 3? Okay, it's 1 or 2. Then what do? We just put a 0. If it's not equal to 3, then it just puts 0. We can copy this down. It gets rid of the error messages, right? Then we can take that times the 50 hours. 0 times 50 is going to be 0, of course. And then we have our 2 jobs with number 3 security level, then it calculates that $25 times the hours. All right, the next one, let's do security cost. We have job 1, job 2, job 3, so we just need to build an if statement. You know, it takes the place of these, the nested if, so let's just do this step by step. All right, the first logical test is, does that equal 1? If it equals 1, then what do? We grab the $20. That's B3, right? Make that an absolute address. Well, what if it's 2? What if it equals to 2? If it's security level 2, then we're going to point to the $30. Make that also an absolute address. If, one more logical test, if it is that equals 3, then we're going to point to the $40. And we need it to be an absolute because we're going to copy it down. So let's see if this is working here at the 20, the 30, or the 40. If it works at the 20, the 30, or the 40, so on security level 1, 2, and 3, it pulls 20, 30, and 40. Security level 2, it pulls the 30. 3, it pulls the 40. 2, it pulls the 30. So it looks like this is functioning correctly. So we need to multiply this first one times the hours, and then we'll copy it down because this will be the total security cost, the 20, 30, or 40 times the hours. Okay, so we got what we had before, and that's our answers. Now, the next one is going to be a little bit of a challenge because remember, additional security cost is going to be, if it's 3, then you have additional security cost. If it's a security breach, then you have additional security cost of $10. I think the first one's 15, the second one's 10. Okay? Now, we don't want to go through all the possibilities. Well, what if it's not any of those, right? So we're going to wrap it in a little function called if it's not available, and we'll show you how that works in just a second. So let's do an ifs. So ifs security equals 3, then we need, if it's true, we need that additional security cost, which is 15. I need to put it in the right location here. Then the value, if it's true, is going to be the 15. We need to make it an absolute address. And then the second question is, if there's a security breach, we'll just point to the true. Then what do? We need fraud monitoring, which is $10, make it an absolute address, and hit done. Okay, I need a second. Okay, I need D3 to equal just D3, not an equal sign. So I think that should work. So it's going to pull the 10. If it's true, it'll pull the 10. If it's 3, it'll pull the $15. All right, as you see, we have 2 error messages. So let's get rid of these in just a minute. We're going to work on the very first one, and we'll multiply it times the hours. And multiplying that times the hours, we're still going to have the error messages. Now, the best way to do this one, because if it doesn't say 3, it doesn't say true, then we have some things. So we could say if it's not equal to 3, and if it's not equal to true, then we could do something, but that takes a long time. That takes a couple of different extra questions, extra logic tests. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to wrap this in an if in a. So there's a function called if in a, and that whole expression, put a comma at the very end, and then what do you do if it's in a? We're just going to put a 0. So if in a returns a 0 if the expression has a not available error message. So I think that should work. So the 500, and then we'll work all the way down. So now we just have these, instead of an error message, we have a 0. So it just converts the not available error message to a 0. All right, last one on this is a job warranty adjustment. Then we can get the totals. Job warranty adjustment, it says, hey, if this job warranty equals the word, double quote, enhanced. Got to spell enhanced correctly. If it equals enhanced, then what do? We're going to grab the $7. So if we have enhanced, it's going to grab $7. We're going to point to it again and ask the second question. If it equals basic, then we're going to grab the negative $5. And the last one is, if it doesn't say either of the above, let's go ahead and put that number in there. Let's put in there, if it says standard, and we didn't have to do this before, if this equals standard, double quote standard, then we're just going to grab a 0. Now we need to make our, we didn't do our absolute here. So we need to go back and do the input. The value, if it's true, needs to be an absolute address. The value, if it's true, absolute address. And then, of course, we have the 0. So let's check our work. If it says enhanced, they're going to pay $7 more. If it says basic, $5 less. Standard will be just 0. Now we take that and multiply it times the hours, just like we did before, times the hours, and we're going to copy this down. We're going to copy that all the way down, and there is our total job warranty cost. We're going to add all this up. Remember, we can include the bottom row and the column to the right and hit auto sum, or we can use our keyboard shortcut Command-Shift-T, or Alt equals if you're on Windows, Command-Shift-T for Mac. All right, the only thing we have to do now is to do our formula to calculate the discount. Okay, so we're going to do the IFS function again. So if the 22,000 is less than, we'll point to the 5,000, then what do? We grab the 0%. Now we don't need to do an absolute address because we're not going to copy this anywhere. This is just a one-time formula. If 22,000 is less than the 10,000, then what do? We do the 3%. Let's keep going. We got one more logical test. If 22,000 is less than the 15,000, we're going to grab the 6%. Now, since we have ifs, we need one more. We could say if it's not anything, we could grab the 10. So let's do this. If that 22,000 is greater than or equal to the 15,000, then what do? We grab the 10%. Let's just see if that functions correctly here. So in this case, it pulls the 10%. If we change the number to 333, it pulls 0%. If we change it to 6,000, it pulls a 3%. If we change it to 12,000, it pulls a 6%. If it pulls 14,999, it's still 6%. 15,000, now it's 10%. Okay, so let's go back to our number that we had. All right, so that's 10%. We're going to wrap that 1 minus. So start with parentheses, 1 minus the 10%, and we get 90%. And we'll take that 90% times the original 22,000. and we're going to give a 10% discount on that 22,000. So that's the same number we should have before, 19,921 and 50 cents. So that's how you work if with nested if statements and the new ifs function. You wouldn't have to do them both. This is overkill to do them two different ways, but you need to find a method that works for you. Most people everybody knows how to do nested if statements, and that's still a good skill to have, but the ifs is going to be the new function, and it might be a little more efficient to do it that way. All right, hope you enjoyed that. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.